Okay, so now let's start from scratch. Now I have pgadmin installed. Also I have Postgres installed. Now if you don't have all of this installed, check the link in the description and you will find a video on how to install this. Okay, so now let's create a server from scratch. So I'm going to create a server with the name of Spring. Then on the connection, I'm going to put localhost because this is my local machine. The default port, I will just leave it the same. The username, I'm going to leave Postgres, and the password, it should be your own password, which you have set it when you have installed Postgres. And in my case, it's admin. I'm just going to click and save the password. Now I'm going to create a database from scratch, and the name of database, let's just put Spring Boot. And I will leave the owner to Postgres so I can have all the privileges. And now I'm going to go to my Spring Boot application. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this line, and I'm going to add the Data and Jpa module. And all I have to do is put Data and Jpa here. And I'm just going to reload these Gradle changes, and Gradle will fetch for me this dependency, the Spring Boot starter Data Jpa, which has all the necessary libraries for me to have Hibernate Data Jpa in my project. And now, if you start the application, you will see I will have an error and my application won't work. Why is this? Because based on this dependency, behind the scenes, Spring is doing a lot of configuration for us, and one of the configuration which is trying to do is adding this data source object, and it's trying to connect our application to a database. But because we haven't specified to Spring what kind of database we want to connect our application to, it doesn't find any database and it throws an error. As you can see here, it says fail to configure a data source URL attribute because this URL attribute is not specified and no embedded data source could be configured. Basically, it's trying to it's trying to connect to a database, and it doesn't know what type of database it wants to configure. And we need to explicitly tell Spring, hey, I want you to configure Postgres. This is the first step. And the second step, we need to put our own connection properties in our application, so Spring will know how to connect to this particular database, and we will see this in the next video. What we want to do, if we go here on my server, right click properties, we see all of this connection, the host name, the port, the username, and the password, which you can't see here, but which we have put it. We need to explicitly tell Spring, hey, connect to this particular database and also to this Spring Boot database in which we have created. Now I'm going to copy paste another dependency, and this is the Postgres SQL dependency, and I want you to write also this, and then I'm going to refresh this so we can also download the Postgres dependency. And now when we start our application, we want to configure the Postgres, and it's also throwing the same error because we haven't done any configuration. We have just added the Postgres SQL dependency, which basically contains the Postgres SQL driver and so on. And now let's go to the next video and see how we can connect our application to our Postgres database.